Hello, just a quick heads up before this episode begins. This is our top 10 books that you had to read for school. This will also be in two parts. This is part 1. This will take you numbers 10 through 6 on both of our lists. Be sure to also track down part 2 to get the rest. And let's get going. Hello, and welcome back to Lists. This is a podcast where we count down our top picks in a variety of categories as a springboard into deeper or dumber conversations about art, media, and popular culture. My name is Scott Cassidy. I'm a filmmaker, screenwriter, and the Lists expert on all things cinematic.
And I'm Colby writer, English teacher, and our resident expert on all things literary.
Sure you are.
Yeah, all right. Got to start off by taking a shot, huh?
Well, it's tradition.
On the literary episode, too. Nice.
I know. Well, you've set yourself up now. You got to follow through on this whole expert thing. I expect genius level breakdowns here on this podcast.
Good God almighty.
All right. Well, before we move into this episode, we like to start by going over last episode and any corrections or feedback we've gotten from all of you and finish any arguments that are left over. I think we're okay from last week.
Yeah, I don't think we have too many arguments to finish up. It was an interesting conversation, and
yeah, I really enjoyed last week.
Interestingly, because we both kind of talked about, well, we both had Nirvana at number 2, right? So
yeah, we did.
Between
our number 2s are always the same.
That's yeah. We're gonna have to change the title of this pod.
Yeah.
So yeah, in between recording that one and this week's, I actually had a chance to visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and one of the coolest things I saw there. So do you remember, you probably don't remember it happening live. I certainly don't, but we've seen it, right? It was soon after Kurt Cobain died. Pearl Jam played Saturday Night Live. Do you know know what I'm talking about?
I do, yes.
And so Eddie Vedder wore the shirt, and he had written with marker a K over his heart. And at the end of the show, when they all kind of come out on stage and are waving and all of that, Eddie just kind of very silently stood there and put his hand over the K. That shirt was actually there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I got to see it.
I did. I think, honestly, I saw a lot of cool stuff. That might have been my favorite thing I saw. Just because it had cool. that real powerful emotional component to it,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a cool thing. It was a really cool moment. Cool thing that Eddie did. And it was not something I was expecting to see there. But I was glad I did.
Yeah, quite the fortunate timing that right after we record our music episode, you get to go.
Oh, I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay.
No, I definitely did not. Total coincidence. But yeah, it worked out nicely. You had an interesting between pods.
Oh dear. Before and during.
Quite a text message for me to get.
Are we really doing this?
Oh, yeah, you gotta tell the people. All right, you want me to tell them?
No, I'll tell the story, I guess. All right, so episode 2, our top 10 albums that influenced your taste podcast that hopefully you have all listened to and enjoyed. If I sounded at all different, I don't think I did, or how you could possibly tell. I mean, it was episode 2. You only had one previous episode to compare it against.
Really gotten to know you by this point.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows the intricacies of my voice by now.
Boy, Scott sounds off.
Yeah, no, what's wrong with him? Well, it turns out there was something wrong with me. Like I had told you that day that I wasn't feeling great, that my stomach hurt.
Yeah, you told me you'd been sick the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, my stomach was in pain. But, I took some painkillers and did the podcast and it was fine. Woke up the next day, not quite as fine. Stomach still in quite a bit of pain. Toughed it out, just, went about my day. Next day, I was pretty much in bed, laid out. Then the next morning, my wife finally is like, "What are you doing? We're going to the doctor." But that day was a Saturday, so I went to like an urgent care thing. And the doctor, I assume maybe, it's a bad flu. I like pulled a muscle in my abs from throwing up earlier. But anyway, he takes like one look at me and pokes me a couple times. And what you love to hear from a doctor, he looks at me and says, "Yeah, I think you need to go to the ER." So anyway,
it's just fantastic.
Yada yada. Long story short, I recorded episode 2 of this podcast with a ruptured appendix. So
beautiful.
That is the commitment
Beautiful.
that I have to you people.
Beautiful.
I expect to be appreciated for that Herculean effort.
Disgusting ruptured appendix.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm fine now.
I don't know what's going on, but obviously we've talked about this, and you're still waiting weeks and weeks to get in for surgery, and this is totally not my childhood experience of what appendix explosions were like. Not that mine did, but I had a cousin whose appendix burst, and he was in surgery that night. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they gave me the option, but it was going to be like a big incision and a nasty procedure. And so instead, I'm just antibiotics and waiting. But anyway, enough about my appendix.
I think we should talk more about your appendix.
Okay, well.
Maybe give it a name. Are you going to get it like in a jar?
No.
Come on.
I was going to mail it to the worst nasty email we get on this podcast.
Hey, not a bad idea. I always
careful.
imagine the appendix looking like kind of like a jalapeno.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Like
it's like this tiny little extra little sausage link on the end of like your small intestine.
Sausage link. See, for me, it's always like a jalapeno, like floating in like the last jalapeno in the jar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool.
So yeah.
Anyway, it's not a super fun experience. There's some pain there. I don't recommend it. Not that you can do anything to prevent it. No one knows why. It's just random.
So for all of you who have appendix problems, you can still record a podcast. So quit being a baby.
Yeah, seriously. Come on. I did it.
God, get out. Come on. Get on with it. Stop complaining.
I know. Seriously. Anyway.
All right.
Anyway.
So yeah, you want to move? Let's talk about some of the feedback we got, because we definitely
let's do that.
We got some good stuff. So obviously people chimed in with stuff they felt like we had left out. They chimed in with stuff that not necessarily even criticizing us, but just what they would have put in, which is exactly what we want to hear. And there was some cool stuff, like people mentioned Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, which I vividly remember.
I mean, I considered that. Yeah.
I vividly remember getting that cassette tape for my 10th birthday and wearing it out. I loved it.
She gave us all the wrong definition of ironic for years. It was good.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Alanis.
No, those are coincidences, Alanis, but all right.
Yeah, that's not what irony is, but okay.
Okay.
So the Cranberries, another 90s band that came up, which the Cranberries kind of like floated across my mind. I don't think I considered them as strongly as maybe I should have.
Maybe similar for me too.
I don't know. Just that great band. We did catch a lot for not having the Rolling Stones anywhere in there, and I don't think we
never mentioned them.
The Rolling Stones. I'm a big.
It's a personal list.
I'm a huge fan of Exile on Main Street. I'm not a huge Stones fan otherwise, but I don't know.
I would say for me, it's more a collection of like a dozen or so songs.
Yeah.
Not any particular album from the Rolling Stones that stand out for me.
Yeah, I mean, there was a long time in my life that I survived perfectly happily with just a Rolling Stones greatest hits album.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's a hole I need to fill. Who knows? So we got some good pop music that was,
Yeah, a lot of people were like, where's the Michael Jackson?
yeah,
Where's the Whitney Houston?
Madonna.
Madonna.
My wife
Yeah.
jumped all over me about the Madonna thing.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's Madonna super influential to what I listen to now, hun? Explain to me where
Yeah,
you're hearing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe, and
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm sure that a lot of there's no way Saint Vincent would say that Madonna's not an influence on her. So maybe that's true. I guess.
Maybe.
I love Saint Vincent. And a ton of really good hip. It was nice to get all the hip hop feedback, just to be reminded.
Yeah,
of
we got a lot.
All the awesome hip hop. And the one
I've been listening to a lot of hip hop lately. I got a lot of great recommendations.
Yeah. Did any of them really stand out to you as like, yeah, I remember listening to that. And I'm gonna listen to it right now.
Not particularly. It was a lot of, oh yeah, I had totally forgotten that for me.
See, I had considered, I like Wu-Tang. I told you I had considered that, and I had considered also Nas. And when with the amount of Nas that came flooding in from listeners, I immediately went back and started listening to some Nas, and I was very happy about it. But yeah,
I think back in that time, in that last episode, we talked about how I really drilled down. And back at that age, I mean, probably the biggest song for me was like Nelly.
Oh God! Yeah, speaking of TRL, good Lord, God, couldn't get away from that song. Yeah, no, that's fair.
I mean, like Jeff Gordon and the Black SS with the navigation. I mean, it's good stuff.
Wow, you just did that.
I just did. I went there.
No, I mean, hip hop dominated from 95 on. It was dominant, and was it hugely influential to what I listen to now? Nah, I don't know. Not so much.
Yeah, that's why it was tough to crack the top 10.
Yeah, it's hard. But anyway, thank you, listeners, for making me put Nas back on, because I've been enjoying that. But as far as feedback goes, this is exactly why we want people to provide feedback. Like if you've written or commented, you've almost certainly gotten a response from one or both of us. And we just really appreciate you engaging with these discussions. It's been a lot of fun playing around with different ideas, hearing what people think. So please be sure to keep this going. We love to hear it. It's the best part of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And this podcast is new, and we know that a lot of times maybe you're checking in and you're hearing it for the first time on episode 3 or whatever, and episode
that would be
4,
this one.
Whichever one, and could if you revisit some of the stuff from that we did a couple weeks ago, we just we want to make sure that people know not to be shy about. Just because we've moved on to our next list doesn't mean you shouldn't comment about the other ones you hear. Go for it when you hear it.
Please.
I mean, we're happy to keep talking about this. For God's sake, we started a podcast about
it. I know. We enjoy this stuff. This is the whole point of this, is to get in some great conversations and discussions and back and forth with all of you. So
yeah, vicious arguments.
Maybe not as many of those, but
you get a jalapeno in the mail.
That'll be your prize.
That was a great callback. I'm really pleased with myself on that.
That was all right.
No, that was good. You're gonna give it up for that.
It was fine.
All right. So last episode, really good one. Really, really ridiculously hard one. Yes. What about this week? How did you find it?
Incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you look at the title of this podcast, you know what it is. This is the top 10 books that you had to read for school.
And so See, I was struggling with this earlier today when I was kind of reviewing my list. I believe we had discussed it not including college because being an English
Yes, we
major,
did.
obviously,
Yeah.
that quadrupled the amount of books I had to read.
Right.
Okay. So this really focusing on kind of high school, middle school.
We said 5th grade through 12th.
That's
or
right.
whatever.
5th grade through 12th, because 5th is where you start kind of like taking.
Not that any really made my list from that time, but yes, that's what we said.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Sorry. Yeah.
Nothing from that time. Nothing from 5th grade to whatever made my list.
Yeah. Well, we'll see it when it happens.
Yeah. No. So yeah, that's this week's list. Top 10 books you were supposed to have read in high school. And obviously we included in that the fact that you could have revisited it later. And I'm telling you right now that
most of these were revisited later.
I don't think I completely read a single one of these in high school.
Wow. You were a great student.
That was phenomenal, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
The English teacher saying that, getting furious with my students for not reading.
Yeah, it's really karma, man. It's coming back around.
It's just bad. Anyway,
I know.
all right. So we're going to get to the list, but before we do that, why don't we take a quick break, a little bit of a promo session, and then we'll get to it. Hi, thanks for listening to Lists. This podcast is so much more fun when we get to interact with you. What we want you to do is send us your lists. We want you to tell us when you agree or disagree with ours. Let us hear your ideas for topics that we should do. Join the conversation. You can reach us directly by emailing us at liststhepod@gmail.com. That's liststhepod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at listthepod. And you can always find every episode of this podcast, links to all of our social media, polls, links, and other fun stuff that we talk about or include on our website, liststhepodcast.com. All right, and we're back. We're going to get this list started. So, tough list for me, but not necessarily tough for the reasons I thought it was going to be.
Interesting.
I think that I assumed going in that it was going to be difficult to narrow down a big list of books.
Okay.
As I started, what I always do is I go off the top of my head first, and then I'll
just start writing stuff down. Yeah.
See what comes down, right? And then I took a look at, typical high school reading lists just to kind of refresh my memory on anything I may have missed or clarify whether I read something in college or in high school or junior high or whatever. What I ended up finding was, maybe I should save this for the end because it kind of talks about why the composition of my list is the way it is. I'll save that for the end.
I will.
What I will say now, though, is all I'll say now is it wasn't really so much about narrowing down a massive list. It was more about kind of finding the stuff that we read in high school that I actually like.
Yeah, the hardest part for me was having to rack my memory.
Yeah.
And I struggled. Did I read this in school? Was this assigned to me or to a different class, or was it college versus high school? It was tough to remember. I think I got it, but it was hard.
No, I'm right there with you. I feel like this is gonna make me sound so old saying it, but I don't remember high school that well.
Yeah, me either. It's tough.
At least the academic side of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I racked my brain, and I think I got there.
Yeah,
but it was an exercise.
You know what? That's a good lesson for any young people listening. And I tell this to my students all the time. I get a lot of students. They come to me and they're upset about stuff that happens in school, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, all that stuff.
I know it feels like a huge deal in the moment, but
you're not gonna remember it when you're in the part of your life that matters. Which I don't want to make their feelings seem illegitimate, but
Or small. Yeah, I know.
But just you have a lot of life after those 4 years that's really exciting and cool. And honestly, like, talk to most people and they don't really remember high school that well. And if they do, it's because what they're doing now is pretty sad.
Sometimes, yeah, that can be the case.
Or they just have a freakish memory. I don't know.
Well, yeah, good for
the
those
point,
people.
I guess this is
that's
probably
not me.
This is probably equally true of any age. Like 60-year-old me will probably be like, "Well, you 30-year-olds think everything's the biggest problem in the world."
Yeah.
That, by the way, is exactly what I'm going to sound like when I'm 60.
Oh, cool. All right, that was time travel on the podcast.
Right, that just happened.
Cool. All right, well, I guess no more further ado. Let's just do this thing.
Let's get to it.
I guess I'll go first.
Let's hear it, man. Number 10.
I really struggled.
I'm so curious right now.
We'll see what you think about it.
I really am.
For those of you who have listened to the previous episodes very carefully, you might remember that Colby and I went to the same high school. But he was in like the AP English track and I was not.
Yeah.
So what we were assigned in school, I think, is quite different. So I don't know how much we're going to have the same, really.
Did you guys even get books, or did you just like sit there and drool on yourselves?
Okay. You know, I have a master's degree, damn it. No. I'm published in a peer-reviewed academic journal, goddamn.
Oh. Everybody, hold on. Pause this at home.
Everybody quiver.
No. Just everybody give Scott a big, long round of applause.
It's quite the accomplishment, I know.
Yeah, shoot. Let's post your article to the website. How about that? See how many people read.
Oh, God, kill me. But anyway, the point being, we were assigned very different things, I think.
I
it'll be interesting
that we were, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are some like staples that no matter what you got assigned.
Yeah.
But
and I gotta say, man, doing this list, I was appalled at how little reading we even assign to high school students nowadays.
Yeah. It's not a lot.
I'm going through this list and going, yep, I read that in high school, or never mind. Let me say that again. I was supposed to have read that in high school. I was supposed to have read that in high school. And I'm thinking to myself, this is... it was at least 10 times as much as we expect my students to read, which was kind of a bummer. I mean, it's a different day and age, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I'll start us off. So I don't even know if you've read this, but here we go. Number 10. It is a novel, a very short one. Not quite a novella, I guess. Written by Edith Wharton. Ethan Frome is number 10 for me.
Ethan Frome. I have not read that. I don't know that one.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I know the title.
Okay.
I think, do you know what year that was written?
1911.
1911? Yeah, see, I'm usually like post-World War One. It's the kind of stuff I dig, so...
Well, you know, it's had to be assigned to me, and I had to have read it.
What's it even about? Like, I've heard about it all the time.
Okay,
I don't...
So...
Let's see if you remember. Let's see.
I do remember it a little bit. It's about a guy named Ethan Frome.
You don't say.
Yeah. And stuff happens to him. The end. No. So it's framed. It's like an extended flashback. So there's like a prologue with like an unnamed narrator who visits a little town in Massachusetts, I think, and he spots like this limping, quiet man. And he's like, who is this? He's a lifelong resident. Like, looks like a ruin of a man, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm curious. I got to learn more. And then he like tracks him down and corners him. And is like, tell me your life story. So anyway, if you flash back, and most of the book is third person story of Ethan Frome, and he's like, it's the story. He's like married, and then his wife's sister or cousin or something comes and lives with them, and he falls in love with her, and it ends badly.
Really? Your wife's sister comes to visit and you fall in love with her, and that could end badly?
It ends badly, yeah.
All right.
Anyway, you find out why he's limping, and
Oh.
and then there's like a little epilogue at the end after he finishes with the man, and in that there's like a little twist.
Okay. All right.
So like he tells the story,
and you had to read this in school?
I won't spoil it. Yeah, it's only like 190 pages or something. It's not super long.
I'm really surprised because that's typically like
I did not read it in school.
Sure,
but that was senior year.
I think that's probably a given for like all these.
Yeah.
Oh, that was senior year. Okay.
Yeah, senior year. Because it's it's pretty literary. A little bit of a harder read, I guess. But I've thumbed through it. I've got a copy still, and the prose is pretty readable. It's pretty enjoyable. It's got a nice hook. You're like, they make him really interesting and his past mysterious, and you want to hear the story.
All right. Well, all right. Ethan Frome, number 10.
There you go.
All right. I would say good pick, but I don't know that one.
Well, all right. We're off to a great start.
Really sparking conversation here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
No,
I'm just...
it's not bad. I'd check it out.
I'm really kind of blindsided by the fact that was assigned in high school. Because I've heard of it. Obviously, I know of it, but just
I remember
always struck me as
specifically
more of like if that was your area of specialty in college or something type of deal.
No, I think or at least it was back when I was a senior.
Huh. Well, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Number 10, Ethan Frome.
Number 10 for you.
All right, number 10 for me. You kind of mentioned novella. I know that.
Okay.
I wouldn't consider 190 pages a novella, by the way. The Great Gatsby is only like 205 pages.
Yeah. It depends.
But my number 10 is actually it's a novel, but it's very, very, very slim, which is why it's one of the few books I can get my students to read. So this,
it's time constraints in school. You can't assign, Gravity's Rainbow or something. You're not going to get it done in 4 years.
Gravity's Rainbow in high school, that would be something else.
That'd be fun.
I like that's where your head went to.
Thank you.
Oh man. All right, so number 10 is a book that I believe I was assigned probably around like 7th grade.
Okay.
We teach it freshman year where I teach, and so I think I may have actually read this one at the time, and I've certainly read it since then, given the fact that I have to lecture on it and lead discussions about it for at least 4 periods a day during the first trimester of school.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I've read this book probably 30 times now.
Well, I'm looking forward to your insights.
It is
coming up.
The 1937 novel by John Steinbeck of Mice and Men.
All right.
Yes. And you know the way that I hook...
George and Lenny,
man. You know the way that I hook students on this one?
How?
So
The John Malkovich movie? No. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
I do show occasional clips from that, though. There are a few good scenes in there that are...
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's reasonably faithful to the novel, which I like.
Yeah, it's fine.
But it's because The Walking Dead did a whole story arc and episode that totally was pinched from this.
Oh, okay.
So I always tell my students not so...
I didn't last that long in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So, okay.
My students lately are not Walking Dead fans, but the first year I was teaching at this particular school, they were more familiar with it. And So there's a character on the show, this little girl who is obsessed with the zombies and wants to treat them like pets and whatever. And anyway, they tell her to look at the flowers and bye bye little girl. Anyway, so yeah, Of Mice and Men, to kind of summarize for anybody who hasn't read it, I'm guessing most people are pretty familiar with this story. But
yeah, we're gonna officially try to not do spoilers, right?
Yeah, I don't want to do any spoilers here, but because if this is especially a book, I had a student literally take the book at the end, throw it across the room, and leave the classroom sobbing. I'm not kidding. That happened.
Wow.
Every time I teach this book, I get at least 3 kids in each class sobbing at the end of it. Like that's the impact of this book, and it's really cool. But it takes place during the Great Depression. It's about 2 guys who travel around together. They're migrant workers, and they can't really keep jobs very frequently because one of them is intellectually disabled and gets himself in trouble. He likes soft things. It comforts him. And so he picks up mice and he pets them. He likes to pet dogs and puppies, but he also likes the fabric of women's dresses or their hair, and that gets them into big trouble. So he doesn't know his own strength, and when he panics, he gets into trouble because he'll accidentally kill the mouse or whatever, or the puppy. Yeah. So anyway,
and there's a fun guy on the ranch named Candy.
Yeah. Oh, Candy and his dog.
Yeah.
Boy, when my students figure out Candy and his dog, what the symbolism there is, it's always like this. I love that moment. That as a teacher, I live for that moment. I'm like, Candy's dog is what? I just sit there waiting, then one kid will get it. But anyway, all right. So yeah, they find work on this ranch, and right from go, you kind of get the sense that this is not going to go well for them. There are a lot of things set up where they are that fall right into their weaknesses. And they have this dream that they're going to get their own ranch and they're going to not have to work for anybody, and they'll just live off of what they make for themselves. And
yeah, it's very much about the dream of a better life. And
listen, this is one of the most American stories to tell, which is the fact that this idea of the American dream is a load of crap. And I don't think anybody felt more strongly about that than Steinbeck. And that can make it tough to teach actually sometimes, because kids,
it's a tough lesson to learn
a tough
at that
sell.
age, especially. Yeah.
But anyway, this novel deals with that. It deals with friendship and loneliness, and it is. Look, you can read this in a sitting. It's very, very slim.
It goes right past.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 118 pages, and it's a ton of dialogue, fast read, a lot of good action, and like I said, you got kids throwing it across the room. You've got 14-year-old kids who do most of their reading on Twitter or on Snapchat, throwing this book across the room, crying. Like,
yeah, it's a gut punch of an ending.
Yes, if you haven't read it, that should be enough of a sell.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So, and the reason it's 10 and not higher for me, it's, I love it. It's great. I'm probably a little sick of it from teaching it.
Oh, okay.
But it's a little bit on
the nose.
No, it's not. Honestly, it's actually pretty subtle. It's not that it's on the nose. It's just it's a little bit simplistic. There are more complex tellings of that. Those themes, but
I like that simplistic. I mean, that helps it cut and be effective in that throwing the book across the room type of way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I think it's absolutely remarkable that in 120 pages or whatever it is, less than that, Steinbeck, I think it's 108 pages, that Steinbeck is able to get you to care enough about these characters that you have that response. And
like, I don't think I've read it since, I think I actually read it in high school too. And I still remember, like, Candy and Slim, of course. And
man,
yeah, I remember.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Really great book. And I'll be teaching it again in a couple of weeks here when school starts up.
Oh, nice. All right.
So, yeah, fun times. Okay, 9.
Oh.
What do you got?
Well, this is super easy. Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck.
I knew it. I could tell the fact that you had like all these like minor characters' names so ready. I was like, all right, that's probably like number 5 for him.
No, it's right now. So
all right.
That's number 9 for me. Very similar reasons as you. I'm not as sick of it because I don't teach it. But I have read it, I think, 3 times. I mean, it's so fast.
It's a blink.
Yeah, and it's really good. I mean, I like Steinbeck. There would be other things on this list if they were eligible, but yeah, this is good.
Yeah, well said. It's one of those things too that's such a cultural touchstone. Like, they're Saturday Night Live
so many
sketches that
references or quotes in popular culture from it,
and just dynamics between characters that are even inspired by it. Like I think of like Rain Man or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was watching a random episode of Lost the other day, and
good for you.
Ben and Sawyer were quoting Of Mice and Men at each other.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So, I know it pops up.
God, Lost is the greatest show ever.
Hey, don't ruin future lists. Hang on.
Whatever. You people who know, my son's name is Jack, and yeah, it's from Lost.
We'll save that for when it comes up, which it will. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, number 9 Of Mice and Men, John Steinbeck. Your turn again, buddy. Go ahead.
All right, so number 8 for me is a 1954.
No way, you got to do number 9.
Did I say number 8?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, number 9. Number 9 for me. It's a novel from 1954 written by William Golding, Lord of the Flies.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So Lord of the Flies is...
before you talk about it, I will just say that was never assigned to me in school.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. It would have definitely made my list. It was not eligible for me.
How was that not even assigned? Like, man, what did you guys read?
Know.
Like Fox and Socks and Hop on Pop?
Okay. You know what?
And then they just throw in Ethan Frome.
Yeah. I read plenty of stuff, but not that one, which is random because I feel like that's almost assigned to everyone. But
yeah, that's a... Boy.
I have since read it, and it is quite good. Anyway, you go ahead.
You know what I was thinking as I was kind of reviewing and prepping for the pod? I was just like, holy crap, so much of Lost, which we just talked about, is just inspired directly by this novel. It's... I mean, you have... Ralph and Jack are
that is
Jack
this
and
general
Locke.
setup. Yeah.
I mean, there are scenes though that are just like almost, happening for happening. It's kind of crazy. It was
all right. Well, tell us.
So
tell
anyway,
us,
yeah.
What is Lord of the Flies?
A plane full of British kids is fleeing the bombings that are going on during World War II, and it crash lands on this island, and the kids are the only survivors. And the kids have to survive on this island, and they very quickly kind of figure out who their leader is going to be. They know that they have to organize some kind of structure to...
Yeah, society.
So, almost like a society. Yeah. And it breaks down. Very, very quickly breaks down with competing visions for how this place should be run, but also competing ideas of really whether or not they even want to get rescued. And again, that's a direct thing that Lost took, right? John Locke does not want to get rescued because obviously he's on the island. He's much better off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really the whole, and again, it's another very short novel, but the whole thing is really about the nature of mankind.
It's a very optimistic and hopeful view of humanity. It's a really sunny, joyful read.
Oh boy. I mean, it's joyful in the fact that it's fantastic literature, but the plot is man, oh man, it's brutal, and it really just kind of revels in the fact that human beings, when left to our own devices, are not awesome. We're terrible to each other. We don't know how to coexist. We have base instincts, and and this, what I love about it, why I love this novel, is that it takes that up as its theme, and he never talks about it directly. He's not bashing you over the head with exposition about it.
Yeah, it's all within the story of these kids.
The story is what gets it across, and it's just so well done. But yeah, again, and it's lower on my list because I think that it just lacks some of the finer nuance of some of the books that are higher up on the list. The ability to have 15 or 20 interpretations of it versus 3.
Yeah.
That being said, it's fantastic work of literature.
Yeah, I really like it. I think I read recently they're gonna try a new film adaptation of it.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised they didn't think like a Netflix series or something like that. It seems to be where everybody's going.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it would work better as a series. But whatever, who am I?
Yeah.
I'm just a guy with a podcast.
Yeah.
Who's published stuff in peer-reviewed journals. Wow.
Okay, to be clear, I was saying that in jest as poking fun at myself. So please don't email me. Colby, I think, knew that because he knows my sense of humor and my tone.
Oh, I knew it. Seriously. I knew it, but that didn't mean I was going to let it slide.
No, I didn't want you to let it slide. I just hope we don't get emails. Like, I know.
I hope we do.
Pathetic.
Do start a hashtag, right? Scott's a...
Okay.
All right. Anyway, okay. All right.
Anyway.
That's much fun.
That's your number 9.
What do you got at 8?
Okay, so number 8. I'll start us off. Now, this did not come up in our rules and regulations of the list that we did at the end of last episode.
Gonna break the rules.
Well, maybe. It was never set as a rule, so there's nothing to break, technically. I have a play at number 8.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Work of literature.
I assume that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, the title of the episode is Top 10 Books, so I don't know.
Well, plays are
just making sure.
Plays are put in books.
Yes, they are, and I was assigned one in high school.
There you go.
And it is on this list. So we read this. I don't know what grade, 10th, 11th, maybe. And we read it printed in like a textbook, I think.
Oh gosh.
The play version.
I think I know where you're going.
Although it was originally written as a teleplay. Anyway, it is 12 Angry Men by Reginald Rose.
Wait, you read that in school?
We did.
Man, you guys read some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Are you serious? And it was in a textbook?
Yes. Yeah. Printed. The whole play.
That's so for listeners too. I think it's been mentioned, but Scott and I went to high school in Texas, in a suburb of Houston. So there's a part of me that's a little surprised by that as well, just because Not that our school
What's surprising
was...
about that?
Our school, I would not consider our school to have been a progressive one, but I also wouldn't consider it to have been like an ass backwards one. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like... I definitely don't feel like I read as diverse of texts as I would assign now, but it was also, 1999 to 2002. Who knows?
Oh, dating us already.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, so it was around the year 2000. Anyway.
So I'm surprised that you read that because it's a fairly modern piece, and
very much so.
I always felt like the focus at our school was on antiquity.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we read 12 Angry Men. And then we watched some clips from the famous Henry Fonda movie.
Is that the I'm Mad as Hell and...
No.
Have
you not read 12 Angry Men?
That's broadcast.
Huh? That's network.
But that... Jeez.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof,
I've never seen that movie either. I've just seen...
You've never seen 12 Angry Men?
Or network. Or broadcast. That's not even a thing.
Broadcast news, maybe? What are you thinking about?
I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
No, 12 Angry Men is about a jury.
Yeah, you've never read it?
I have heard of it, but I've never read it, no.
Oh my goodness. This is blowing my mind. Okay. Yeah, okay, so Reginald Rose, for those who don't know, was a fantastic television, mostly writer. He wrote for the old television anthology series, which I randomly happen to know a lot about. So this 12 Angry Men was originally a teleplay, and it aired on TV in 1954 on an episode of Westinghouse Studio 1. And it was very popular on TV those days to have anthology shows where it would basically, you tune in, it was once a week for like an hour, some of them were an hour and a half, and it would just be one standalone story. Different cast, completely different thing each week. Written by Rod Serling and Reginald Rose and others who did a lot also for The Twilight Zone and other famous shows like that later on. So anyway, yeah, it's the entire thing basically is a jury deliberation. So it opens with our 12 jurors going in to decide a homicide case. I think Puerto Rican teenager is accused of murdering his abusive father. And they're like, well, we think this is pretty obvious. Let's put it to a vote. And 11 hands go up for guilty, except for one guy says not. And then
the debate is on.
And the debate is on. And it's really great. I mean, I guess I shouldn't spoil it then. Although you can probably guess where it goes. But yeah, it's really cool how through the discussions you learn about these people, these 12 men in the room. Their biases or racism or other things like slowly bubble to the surface based on how they talk about the case. And it's very interesting.
Now I'm going to have to check that out.
Oh, it's really good. And the movie that came out like 3 years later, so it was a quick adaptation. And it kept a couple of the cast members from the TV episode in the same role, too.
That's interesting.
But then they put Henry Fonda as juror number 8, the one who initially is the only dissenting vote.
Well, yeah, you gotta have a star.
Who was a big star at the time, yeah. But it's got great character actors like Paul Krugman and I don't know, people I would recognize. And it's great. It's Sidney Lumet is the director, who you should know. He's done lots of famous things. Dog Day Afternoon, Network, Serpico, On the Waterfront, stuff like that.
Oh man, that's a hell of a resume.
Yeah. The Verdict is a good one later on. Anyway.
Oh, Paul Newman.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a great, great movie. And it's, dialogue for dialogue pretty much. And it's 98% inside one room with 12 people just talking. And it is absolutely riveting.
Well, all right. Good pick. Very good pick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's number 8, 12 Angry Men. I really recommend it.
All right. So number 8 for me.
All right.
Now this one I think is going to be surprising to people because anybody who knows the way my literary tastes go knows that it's kind of like,
which is me out of everyone listening to this, but okay.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like even people who know me pretty well wouldn't be able to pinpoint that either. So
I'll let you know if it surprises me.
I always joke with people that there's Shakespeare, and then there's everything after World War One, and everything in between that bores me to tears. Yeah. It's not necessarily you can throw it out, right? Like I understand that there's good stuff in there, right? But it's just I can't get into it. Like Jane Eyre and so much Dickens and
yeah, I know it's not really your thing.
It's just I have a really hard time. I don't find so much of it is about class and like these social hierarchies, and I just don't give a crap about that as a theme.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm gonna talk about a book that has that as a theme.
Oh, okay. That's surprising.
This is a book from that time that that was assigned to me in high school. I read parts of it and then went back and read it later and really, really enjoyed it.
Enough to pass the tests or whatever?
Oh, not even enough to pass the tests, man.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, no. This was before you could get SparkNotes online so quick. We actually had to go out and buy the Cliff's Notes.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, good luck.
Or you could just read it, but
this is a big book.
Kids do what they do. It's a big one. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty sizable book.
All right. Well, what is it?
It was written it was published in 1847, right? So that's
1847.
If you know me, that's way out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It's by Emily Bronte.
Oh.
And the book is Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, okay. I have read Wuthering Heights.
Oh, did you?
And yeah, not in school, not in high school, just on my own. It was not eligible for the list.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, here's why I like Wuthering Heights. It's
okay.
Listen, it's dark, which is pretty atypical of the time, especially with British literature. For a book to be like, and I'm talking like kind of almost Edgar Allan Poe dark.
Not that much,
but it's in terms of like the characters.
It's not gothic or anything.
It's described as a gothic novel, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's got a lot of gothic elements to it.
I guess I don't remember it that well. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you need to bone up on your Wuthering Heights, bro.
Apparently, bro. My bad.
So yeah, it actually is sort of a gothic-esque novel about where the characters are just so intensely full of negative feeling. And but it's also this amazing love story in a weird way. So long story short, there's these two rich manors that are neighboring. They're a little bit apart, obviously, as they were back then. And a very wealthy father has a son and a daughter. And he goes on a trip and comes back with an orphan that he's picked up. And the orphan is named Heathcliff. The daughter's name is Catherine. And Catherine and Heathcliff become very, very close friends. And as they get older, it blossoms into kind of love. And the brother hates Heathcliff because he's boorish. He doesn't come from their station. He doesn't have their manners. He's animalistic. And so the brother eventually leaves and it gets married. He comes back into the story and is important later. But the daughter is sent to the neighboring manor and meets the son over there who is of her class and appropriate for her and all of that stuff. And she ends up, in spite of the fact that she is in love with Heathcliff, marrying the other man. And Heathcliff flees and vows to make himself worthy of her and returns, and having been mocked and ridiculed and sort of mistreated at the hands of the brother when he comes back after the father dies. He was made to act like a servant when the father dies and the brother takes over the house, right? So he vows revenge. And he creates this elaborate, just delicious plan for vengeance. And he executes it, but sacrifices.
It's not that big of a leap why you like it. Yeah.
I mean, I love a good revenge story, right?
You do.
And this is a good one. And and I also like stories where characters destroy themselves in pursuit of something. And Heathcliff destroys himself in his pursuit of vengeance. His vengeance is in pursuit of Catherine, but it's one of those things where, like, for Gatsby, everything was in pursuit of Daisy, but it ended up
you sort of loses
sight of that. And Heathcliff, in many ways, this parallels Gatsby in a lot of really beautiful ways, which I think is also why I like it. But really, really excellent book. Excellent story, generational story. Like, his vengeance goes through the next generation and all of that. It's good.
I like it.
Yeah, Wuthering Heights.
Very good choice.
I can't remember what grade I was supposed to read that in. I want to say, so British literature, I believe, was 10th. No. Yes. 10th, 9th and 10th grade, with 9th more of a focus on older British literature. So this would have been 10th, I think. Probably read this around the time of A Tale of Two Cities and Les Mis and stuff like that.
And you actually read it when?
Oh, I didn't read it in high school for sure. I think I reread it while I was working in the PhD program, just because I kind of needed a break from all of the Lost Generation stuff I was reading.
Okay. Good choice. I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
Wuthering Heights.
All right.
Not eligible for me, but good choice for you. And now, before we continue, let's take a quick break. Thanks again for listening to Lists. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you like what we're doing, please leave us a rating and review. 5 stars, please. It really helps us grow and get the word out, especially as this podcast is still very new. So thanks in advance, and back to the list.
Number 7 for Scott, Hop on Pop.
It's red fish, blue fish. No,
I'm so fascinated by what they had you reading. Like, it's just,
our reading lists were crazy. Now this one, admittedly, is maybe a cheat.
Oh boy. Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure I was actually only assigned pieces of it.
You know what? That's fair. That's a
okay.
Yeah, that's a blur.
But I do remember, and I'm pretty sure it was again senior year. We read pieces of it, mainly as like within a section of when we were going through like mythology, and different mythological type stories.
I know where you're going.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's Homer's The Odyssey.
Good one.
Okay. So, classic story. It's a sequel.
It's true.
to the Iliad, which I probably like better, but I was not assigned that in school.
Yeah, it's weird. People that go with the Odyssey every time in school.
Yeah, I like the Iliad. Maybe, it's got like the Trojan War. It's more action movie, I guess.
The Iliad is definitely not as hopeful. It's not.
No.
It's a dark.
But anyway, so Odyssey is the story of Odysseus, who, after the Trojan War, it's basically his long, winding road home.
Which has been the basis for countless reimaginings.
Many adaptations, yeah.
Anytime you watch a movie and the character is trying to get home and has to go through a number of trials to get there, that's the Odyssey. The Odyssey,
yeah. And, it's got crazy mythological stuff. It's Poseidon and Zeus and Athena and,
Cyclops.
Cool stuff. Cyclops and witches and
sirens.
Yeah, the sirens.
I love the sirens. The sirens are great.
That's great stuff. And it's good stuff. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's in iambic pentameter. Is that right?
I mean, that's definitely a correct term. I couldn't tell you if that's if that's true.
It's a poem. It's technically an epic poem,
right?
But I mean, it reads like a novel.
Well,
really.
It was originally made that way so that it could be remembered and retold and passed down, because this was pre-writing.
Yeah, this is quite old. Very classic story. I think I looked up. People think it was written around like the 700s somewhere.
Holy crap. And we're still reading it.
Like 700 like BC.
Whoa,
somewhere around there.
And we're still reading it.
And we're still reading it. So, for a reason, it's good stuff.
No, it's
classic.
Eminently human as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of mistakes, and Odysseus himself is nicely complicated, and
if I'm not mistaken, the whole time that's going on, his wife is at home fighting off suitors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's been gone for so long that his wife Penelope has got like 100 dudes like trying to win her over, saying he's dead, he's not coming back.
And so she creates this impossible contest for them.
And it cuts back and forth a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's good stuff.
When I'm done, when she's done weaving the tapestry, she says she'll pick a suitor, right? And every night she undoes all the work that she's done.
Right, yeah.
Which is also referenced in... Where's that referenced?
What?
Come on.
I don't know. Where?
Come on, that's in Lost.
It is?
Yeah, when they go visit Jacob. There's the...
Oh.
Right?
Lost spoilers, dude. Careful.
Yeah, that's a mini spoiler.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, yeah. The Odyssey.
Good pick.
Number 7.
Good pick. A worthy number 7.
Thank you. All right. What's yours?
All right. My number 7 is another book that I teach multiple times. I teach this during the second trimester to my freshmen. It is a book that I actually did. Well, no, I did have it. When did I have this book assigned to me? I want to say 8th grade. I did not read it then. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to reveal this. So because I failed freshman English so many times.
Wow.
And you gotta
and I'm published in a peer-reviewed journal.
You are? Really? You are? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know that.
And you failed freshman English. Wow.
Dude.
And you're our literary expert.
Listen,
okay.
Keep going. I failed freshman English among many other classes, but it's extra hard to fail an AP class because they give you bonus points and stuff for being AP. But like a moron, I failed that class, and so I don't even know if you know this, my senior year of high school, I had to take a correspondence course from Texas Tech that was freshman
Maybe
English.
vaguely I remember that, but yeah, I don't.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
the only thing that was assigned was correspondence courses. Children are what would be online courses now.
Oh, okay. I was confused there for a minute.
You actually had to mail in your papers.
Yeah.
You
With the postal service.
with the dying postal service.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to take a correspondence course, and the assigned novel for that was the 1960 novel "To Kill a Mockingbird" by Harper Lee.
Oh, okay.
And I actually did read it for the correspondence course because I started reading it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if there's any doubt as to how good this book is, the fact that I actually read it as a senior in high school.
That helps.
Because I started reading it and it hooked me. It was so good.
Boo Radley,
man. So,
yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird, very, very quickly.
Brief.
So To Kill a Mockingbird is the story of Scout Finch and her brother Jem and their dad Atticus, who is a very famous character. And Atticus,
lawyer, yeah,
he's a very famous, the most famous attorney probably in all of fiction, right?
Yeah.
So Jem and Scout are terrified of this neighbor they have that they always hear stories about and never see, but he leaves them like little things in the tree, they think, and all this mysterious stuff is going on. And when a local woman accuses an African American man of raping her,
yeah,
the man is put on trial and nobody will take the case except Atticus. And Atticus defends the man definitively. I don't want to get any spoilers.
So when did this come out?
1960.
Yeah, I'm wondering why it's about race then.
Yeah, no kidding. Kind of right in the middle of it. But there's so many great characters. Like, if you have any favorite courtroom scene from any movie or TV show or anything, it was almost certainly incredibly influenced by the courtroom scenes in this book, which it just reads like a great just pot boiler. It really does.
It does.
And there are so many elements at play in this, and it's all about prejudging people, prejudice, right? The kids, they make assumptions about Boo Radley based on stories that they hear. So they're doing the same things to him that people in the community are doing to people of different races and things like that. And it deals with class. It also takes place during the Depression. It's amazing. Yes. Some of the most indelible characters in the history of American letters. This is an absolute.
So why only number 7?
Why only number 7? I'll tell you why only number 7.
Just got 6 better.
Because the top 6 are like.
Okay.
They're as good as literature gets.
All right.
Not that To Kill a Mockingbird is anything to, it's a remarkable book. And just as an aside, a graphic novel version of To Kill a Mockingbird came out last year. And it is usually when graphic novel versions of works of literature come out, they're very, very heavily abridged and you miss a lot of it. And the art doesn't contribute much to the interpretation of the deeper meanings and stuff like that. Okay. This is extraordinarily faithful to the text, and it is it's beautiful. It's magisterial. Okay. It's such a fantastic graphic novel.
That's interesting.
It's excellent, and I love it because not only is it very, very good and enjoyable for me to read, but it makes the text accessible to a new generation of students who take a look at it and are intimidated by its size or just don't like reading. But I I bounce back and forth between the novel and the graphic novel a lot, and the kids really, it allows them a point of entry, as does the exceptional film, Gregory Peck playing Atticus Finch.
Classic. Yeah.
Absolute classic. Yeah. So
there's if I was still lived in New York, I would totally love to go see the
that's
version
right.
that's going right now, written by Aaron Sorkin. It's supposed to
Jeff
be really
Daniels playing Atticus.
Yeah. Right, I think so.
I've heard it's getting
it's great.
Rave reviews. I'm sure that the play itself is going to make its way to
it'll tour eventually.
Other cities, but not with that cast.
Yeah, it'd be great to see.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that.
Also, a little shout out to a movie from the early 2000s, I think, with Julianne Moore and what's his name? He was the president on 24. Did you ever watch that? Did all those Allstate commercials. Dennis Haysbert, is that his name?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's his name, but I know who you're talking about now. The Allstate commercials got me.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a movie called Far From Heaven, and it's about a black man accused of raping Julianne Moore's character. Obviously, heavily sort of based on To Kill a Mockingbird, but it's a really great movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's not To Kill a Mockingbird. There's no Atticus. There's no Scout. It's just those two characters, really. And her husband and stuff like that. But it's a really good movie.
That book is such an important book, I think, especially to read around that age, because it introduces you to racial issues in a way that you can grasp and understand. And it doesn't people get put on the defensive when we talk about race in this country, and they close their ears. And this book really helps you access not just race, but the fundamental issue behind the racism that we see in this country, which is prejudice, which is that notion of making assumptions and judging people ahead of time.
If the whole world could just have some more empathy, it would all be so much better.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, I hate to say it, but you read a book like To Kill a Mockingbird, and you get pushback from kids sometimes. It's
interesting.
But those conversations need to be had too for the students.
Yeah, those are great conversations to have
for the students that are struggling with it, and I think it's important for people to struggle with stuff and for them to not be afraid to come out and say it, so that those discussions can happen. And I'm always glad when they do. It usually ends really well.
Cool.
But yeah, great.
Well, now I feel bad because spoiler alert: To Kill a Mockingbird is my number 11.
Oh, got left off.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I know. After saying all the great things about it,
yeah,
I kind of.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I better be real impressed by your.
Well, you're immediately going to hate it. So.
Oh God.
When I'm about to get to number 6.
I know exactly. If you said hate, then I know. I hope this isn't what I think it is.
Oh, it's number 6, baby.
No, please don't be. Please don't be.
It absolutely is. Are we ready? Okay, number 6. I'm pretty sure.
I'm surprised.
First off, I read every word of this in high school.
You would.
It was like 10th grade, maybe even. Yeah, I think it was 10th grade.
Yeah, perfect time to brainwash someone.
Okay. No, I don't think this is what you think it is.
Oh.
Okay, no, it's not.
Okay, then because I was worried. I was wondering why that would be so low.
No. Okay, I'm pretty sure I was the only student in the entire school who liked the book. Everyone else was like, oh man, I can't believe we're reading this. Like, this is what we're like deep diving through for like the whole semester. This is awful. Wow. And the whole time I'm like quiet. I'm like, really? This is great. And I have talked to, I think, like my wife. I like, did you read that? She's like, oh yeah, it's terrible. So everyone apparently thinks it's terrible.
I do know what you're talking about now, and I still think it's terrible.
Okay, I'll end the suspense. It is The Scarlet Letter
Yep.
by Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Oh God, I hate that book.
So this came out in 1850.
Ugh.
It is set in very Puritan Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And it, tells the famous story of Hester, who conceives a daughter through an affair and then gets brandished with the scarlet letter
it's
A
very
for
important.
adultery.
Who is the affair with? That's very important.
Well, yes, it's with a priest of the church.
Yeah, because the book really tries to be subtle.
Okay. You're going to have to be quiet then while I talk about it.
No, go ahead. I'm just going to sit here and boil over.
I really love the character of Arthur Dimmesdale, the priest who had the affair, produced this child, and they keep it quiet, and he becomes increasingly, I don't know, psychically distraught over it. If you saw the very popular movie, or I guess read the popular book, The Da Vinci Code, there's a character, I think, in that who self-flagellates.
Mm-hmm.
That is what Dimmesdale does in The Scarlet Letter.
A better work of literature.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, and then I won't spoil what happens. But that's the story. And it is great and is wonderfully written, with classic characters and situations that are constantly referenced in other things throughout history, and it's great. Number 6.
So yeah, you remember, it was one of the only moments on this show that I really actually thought was really well done. I'm not a big fan of this show, so I always felt like they had. The first episode was really good, and the last episode was really good, and then the rest was just filler. And then I quit watching it because I got sick of that, which is The Walking Dead, right? And the biggest...
It's still going. What last episode?
Oh my God. But you know what I mean. The first episode of the season and the last episode of the season.
Oh, okay.
So after the first episode or a few episodes of the season after what I'm about to say, I stopped watching because I just got mad at that, and I haven't regretted it. But there was this huge cliffhanger because there's this character, right? And he is a menace. And he comes out with this very special baseball bat that he's got. You remember that?
Negan, yeah.
Negan, and his bat is Lucille, right? Now,
right, and it's who does he kill with it?
Will you describe for our listeners the bat, please, Scott?
Oh. Yeah, it's wrapped in barbed wire.
Okay, it's wrapped in barbed wire. It's blood.
Got nails in it.
Yeah.
And blood, yeah.
Okay, so it's meant to do what?
Well, inflict pain.
Specifically where?
I don't know. I never watched The Walking Dead.
It's meant to bash your head in, right?
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. So, The Scarlet Letter
all right.
is the Lucille of literature.
That was such a long-winded diss. I kind of have to give you credit for it.
I can't believe it took you that long to realize what I was doing.
I was totally giving you the benefit of the doubt. I was like, there was a Scarlet Letter reference on The Walking Dead? And yeah.
Yeah, there is, actually. It's that...
Okay, anyway.
What Negan does to their heads is what that book does to the reader with symbolism, because it apparently assumes that all readers are idiots.
Is it obvious? Yes.
Yeah.
Does it know it is being obvious? I say absolutely yes.
Which probably makes it even worse.
I don't think so. Because it's artfully done.
No, it's not.
It is. I'm sorry.
The daughter's name is...
Go back.
The daughter's name is Pearl.
Yes, so...
So out of this unholy matrimony comes this pearl of hope. Oh my God, give me a freaking break.
Okay. I hope I hate something on your list that I can just lean into.
Don't force it. You better actually. But I will say this. I don't.
When was the last time you read The Scarlet Letter? High school?
No, I didn't read it then.
Well, when did you read it?
I think that you convinced me to reread it probably at some point when I was in grad school, so probably around the age of 23.
All right. Well, I guess I can't convince you to reread it again.
Oh, look, there are too many actually good books to read.
Okay. Well, for all of you out there who trust my much superior opinion to Colby's, that I'm sure you've caught wind of by now, just 2.5 episodes in.
Yep. We'll
Be
go
sure
ahead and let
to
the evidence
revisit The Scarlet Letter. I'm telling you, it's good stuff.
You put The Scarlet Letter on and left To Kill a Mockingbird off. I just want
that's right.
I just want you to sit with that.
I bathe in it gladly.
All right.
There you go, number 6.
You know what? We've been encouraging people to provide feedback, and I can't wait.
I think we're gonna get some.
So
yeah.
you said
I stand by it.
You said Emily hates it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm just making sure that I'm not the only one. Now, most people hate it because it's a boring book as well.
Well, it's light on plot, yeah. And when you're reading that when you're however old you are in 10th grade, I don't know, 16, like you want more plot.
Here's what I will concede about The Scarlet Letter. The cowardice of the priest who impregnates Hester.
Yeah.
The fact that
he's the fascinating character to me.
Yes, that he allows her
to go through what she goes
through. And that he's just, no matter how much he self-flagellates or feels bad about it, he's still garbage. And
yes.
I do think that is a well-drawn character. But that is the
and I
only
like how
piece of
I like his ending.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Okay. Well, at least you said a couple nice things.
Yeah.
Thank you for reaching deep in the recesses of your soul to pull out a couple nice words.
Listen, what is the number one thing that I hate in art of any kind?
Yes, when it hits you over the head.
Yes, you've known me for 20-some years. The number one thing I hate is...
It does not bother me as much as it does you.
It doesn't seem to bother you at all.
That's not true, because sometimes it does, and that's why I never begrudge your stance, because when it hits me, it totally ruins things for me too.
Boy, I guess it just has to be in a atomic bomb to hit you.
All right. Things subtler than The Scarlet Letter I have not liked for its heavy-handedness. I don't know why The Scarlet Letter, which admittedly is heavy-handed, gets a pass from me, but I don't know, it just works.
Things subtler than The Scarlet Letter. Literally everything is subtler than The Scarlet Letter. Everything ever written.
All right. Moving on, you're number 6.
My God.
I hope I hate it.
The tortoise in the hare is subtler than The Scarlet Letter.
Serenity now.
Oh my God.
You're number 6.
I forgot that you like The Scarlet Letter.
Oh my God. Okay. You know what?
You need to wear a scarlet letter.
You knew it was coming.
You need to wear a scarlet. You're going to wear a scarlet O for obvious.
All right. Matching your neon O for obnoxious. Let's go.
Oh, that was pretty good. Credit where it's due.
Okay.
All right, where
number 6.
Number 6. Oh my God. Okay, so when I was in high school, My ninth grade English teacher, whose class I failed, and who once gave me a 3 out of 100 on a paper.
That's like leaving a 2-cent tip on a bill. It's like, I'm not leaving this blank. I want you to know that I'm giving you a 3
I know.
out of 100.
She wanted me to know. Like, she actually went through and on the rubric and everything marked it. So the reason it was a 3 was because it was turned in so late and you lost a certain amount of points every day. And then she shouldn't even have taken it. Like, it was so far late that there's no reason she should have taken it. She took it so that she could mop the floor with me, and she did. Yeah. And I give it to her because as a teacher now, I'm just like,
I wish I was in that class. That would have been hilarious.
Sweet power move. Like, she actually had the rubric attached. It was filled out, everything. There were marginal notes. Like, she graded it as if it was turned in on time and I was a good student. And she gave me a 3.
I like it. That is a power move.
It was. So anyway, this same teacher who, for the life of me, I can't remember her name. So there's my power move.
Oh, okay.
So she, we had this, I'm trying to figure out what the context of it was. I know that she gave us a very, very large reading list, right? It was a list of books from which we were to choose one. And we were to read that book on our own and then write some paper, right? I can't remember what the paper was about. Can't remember anything. I remember looking at the list and I just couldn't find anything that sounded interesting to me. So I just went with this one. It's Invisible Man, 1952 by Ralph Ellison. And I remember just because she wanted to insult me so much, I walked up to her and told her I was choosing Invisible Man. And she said to me, "You know that's not about a person who's actually invisible, right?"
Ouch. Ouch.
She thought that I was trying to pick the H.G. Wells, I think, novel.
The Invisible Man? Oh, okay.
And I went, yeah, I know.
It's a different type of invisibility. You see, that's the symbolism.
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, man.
Very light touch on that, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think he mentions it like once in the whole book.
I know. It's just the title.
All right, so Invisible Man in 1952, it's published. It's by Ralph Ellison, great African-American writer. Who?
Quick spoiler, that's my number 12.
Oh, dude.
Like, seriously, I have it written down at 12.
Did you have to write that in school, really?
Yes. Honestly, why it didn't make the top 10 is I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, that you did.
Yeah.
Because that would be really surprising to me. I was surprised that it was even on a list for us because it's a really complex text.
It is.
It's hard.
I'm thinking it might have been my freshman year or something. That's why I left it off. Of college.
Yeah. Anyway, so Invisible Man is this, it's hard to describe because it's such a nuanced novel. So it's about a nameless character, which obviously is a deliberate symbolic choice, right? And again, very subtle, not a subtle one there too, but but
when it's your choice, it's great. But okay,
no. I mean, look,
no, I'm teasing. It's definitely not. Like, in the same ballpark.
When it's your choice, it's great. Oh man, yeah. No, this is a good follow-up to the Scarlet Letter.
All right.
So
I tease, but I love the book too.
No, that's true. So like those are really the two symbolic things that are, yes, they're heavy-handed, but they are also mentioned, I believe, one time in the book.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's about an African-American man from his teenage years through his young adulthood. And just the
experience.
The experience of this world in which he does not exist. He exists as a member of his race, and he does not exist as an actual human being, thus being nameless, thus being invisible. And it has one of the all-time most gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, almost impossible to read chapters in it. And it's often excerpted and published as Battle Royale. And so
that's right.
What happens is he's offered a scholarship at the university he attends, an all black school. He's offered a scholarship, but the condition, and he thinks that's this wonder. He's so proud of this achievement. Can't wait to write home. Right? It's a major thing for him, and then the professor who is giving him the scholarship says he's going to bring him to this celebratory dinner and all of that, and it is then revealed that to earn the scholarship, he has to participate in essentially a boxing match, last person standing. And what they do is they blindfold all of these poor young men, and all of the rich white people from town come, and this is their entertainment for the night. They blindfold them, they put them in a boxing ring, and whoever's left standing wins a prize. And it's so hard to read because
by that point it has done a great job of, no matter who you are approaching this, you are in this nameless person's shoes pretty well.
Yes, very well said, by the way. That, yes, absolutely. And just that betrayal is so appalling, and it
affects you.
And
vicariously.
And so throughout the novel, you have these series, betrayal after betrayal after betrayal, and it's just constantly these things where it's set up to be seen as a person of value, as a person whose contributions are appreciated, and then no, it's actually not that at all, right? And what Ellison is really saying throughout this whole thing is that is the experience of being black in America, is to have this promise held out to you, only to find out over and over again that it's not really there for you, and which is the idea of America, and that also you are never going to be seen as an individual. You are going to be seen first, foremost, sometimes exclusively, as just it's being reduced to your race. And it is a book that
it's really good.
And it has these kind of fantastic elements to it as well that are interesting, and it kind of goes a little wild, but it's all in service of expressing this experience, this unique American experience, and how just absurd it is, how absurd and terrifying and unjust and heartbreaking and defeating it is. And it's a remarkable work of literature. It is an eye-opener. I believe I feel very comfortable saying it's the first work of literature I read that took me from where To Kill a Mockingbird puts you, which is kind of an awareness of that prejudice, right? What Ellison does is he puts you in it and makes you as close as you can to feeling that experience. And so I've heard it said in discussions of things like cultural appropriation and things like that, people will say, and this is very, very true, I see it all the time, is you'll have young people who love rap music and love black culture, but are racist as hell. And I heard a student say once in a spoken word poem that and I'm paraphrasing here. Essentially, what she said was, "You can't have our culture and not want us." And I think that Ellison really captures that whole not wanting us aspect of it.
I think that was very well said.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, so
all right,
Invisible Man, number 6.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so we're at the halfway point.
Halfway, all right.
Only top 5 to go.
Top 5s.
Interesting to see what it's going to be.
I'm so fascinated by the stuff that was assigned to you. I really am, because I had no idea. I really didn't, and I'm super curious. I imagine there's going to be a little more cross-pollination up here at the top, but I could be wrong.
You could be wrong. All right. And that concludes part 1 of our top 10 books that you had to read for school. Hope you enjoyed numbers 10 through 6. Please make sure and find part 2 of this podcast to get numbers 5 through 1 and the reveal of next week's list topic. Until next time, thanks for listening.